think today I'm going to tell the story about how I was addicted to being a victim for a lot of my life to something that is really hilarious to be a victim about. And you guys are probably going to get pissed, okay? Yeah. Hey, so here's what's going down. One time back in the day, for a lot of years, for actually not one time, for most of my life, I had this addiction to feeling like I was a victim because of my dad's fame. Okay, that's so embarrassing to say, and you probably want to hate me, so let's get into it. Because yesterday I was talking about being a victim and how all of us need to take full responsibility for our own well being now, and we're done being victims. And so I wanted to give you a real example of something that felt that's that, okay? For me, this is what it was. I'm going to give it to you from this place. So people ask me a lot, what's it like growing up with your dad being a rock star? I don't even want to talk about this on the channel because I'm trying to keep that so separate, but it is a huge part of me, and if I don't share that, I'm going to be tiptoeing around a lot of things, and this is going to open up a lot more conversation and candidness. So here I am. I grew up my whole life with my dad being a rock star, and that was my identity because people made it my identity. And of course, when that's how you're getting validation, praise, and a sense of belonging, you wonder if that's all that you are. And it gave me a lot of confidence in some ways, but it also made me really insecure in other ways. I was always kind of coattailing off a recognition, but also and knowing that that was something I could fall back on, but also it felt like I was always hiding from that because I wanted to just be normal and belong. So it was this really weird juxtaposition that was happening inside of me at all times. And yeah, in my youth, it felt like it kept me kind of bright, but it also kept me separate. And people looked at me separate than them. They looked at me as someone who they couldn't relate to. They looked at me as someone who shouldn't have the same issues or problems, concerns as they did. And so I started to take those conditioned beliefs and make them my own and think, you're right, I shouldn't be anything but happy. I shouldn't be anything but easygoing, and I don't need to have needs. And that also came from my childhood, just growing up on the road with my dad and being on the go so much that I just had to throw my needs out the window anyway, because it was literally that or get left behind. And so yeah, I pretty much was just always contorting and also trying to fight against this mold or perception that I would be a certain way. And let's get real. What is a rock star's kid? What do you guys think? Maybe spoiled, out of touch. I don't know, they have a reputation for doing a lot of drugs, for just being entitled and wild and all of these things that I didn't want to be or to have people believe that I was. By the way, I'm literally always wearing in these videos, just so you know, a cute top, but the most ratchet workout shorts, just so you know. So anyways, all of that is to say, it was such a confusing place to be, where people would ask me, what is it like? 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 All the fucking time. And I used to answer that in so many different ways because, one, nobody wants to hear the real thing. Everybody just wants to hear what they think they want to hear, which is it's fucking sick, bro. It's so sick. But it is sick, but it's also loaded and complicated. And that is true. It is complex. And yeah, so I was always trying to give them the answer that they wanted. At a really young age, people started asking me that as a child, and I'm I don't even know, I'm just a kid. And at first I used to say that, I'm literally just a kid. I remember answering as a kid being I don't know, it's just my dad, I don't know, it's just all that I know. But the truth is, like, I did see the difference. I did see how my friends operated, even just like they stayed home for the summers and went to summer camp, and their parents came to events with them. And my mom did always, but like my dad didn't. My dad didn't show up for things. When all my friends did this, like, daddy daughter thing, like, my dad couldn't and wouldn't, maybe not couldn't, wouldn't show up for his own security, safety, his own needs. And so I always felt like I just wasn't able to do the normal things. Like, and even if I had something that I was working on, like dance, like at one point for like, I don't even know, 2 weeks, I would join sports teams or dance things or have performances or whatever I was interested in at the time. And I was never able to see the final product because my life was so tied up in my dad's giant life, and my whole family's was. We would just miss the thing, get on the road, like leave. Just, we were always like picking up and going. And so I had to get so used to that and just be like, okay, like I can't participate in the things that everybody else is participating in, and that already others me from the thing. So my FOMO, I was talking about FOMO yesterday, like it starts at a young age. Like I was having really incredible experiences being on the road, but I was also like, dude, I'm missing out on the things that matter to me, especially at the age I was at. And so I was just this young kid surrounded by adults, mostly like band bros, and operating in that realm in a world that was much bigger than me, which gave me so much perspective and insight and maturity. But also, yeah, I missed some of these like fundamental growth, normal childhood things and bonds and self-development and all of those things. So yeah, I had a kind of a confused sense of self because, to be honest, I was just raised with the world's perceptions, and then my dad's life being so big that his life was my life too. So I literally was like, who am I? And I'll talk in another video about how that impacted my romantic relationships and friendships and all that. But today, one of the cards that I just felt like was most important to pull on this subject was even around career. I really struggled with feeling like this victim to the fact that everybody who, this is a generalization again, remember, like I'm speaking in the terms that I used to believe, which was like everybody just wants me for my dad. The interviews, the conversations, even the clients that I got, because I always had a public Instagram and I was doing holistic wellness coaching for nearly the past decade. I would get so many people just trying to get through to my dad. Like I would post Q&As or I'd post conversations on like whatever. Can I help you with this? What are you working with? What do you want to know? I'm literally just trying to be of service in the way that I feel I'm meant to be of service in this world, and my dharma and my contribution and my career, my line of work. And every single time, that's a huge generalization, but so much of the time it was just your dad, tell me about your dad, what about your dad, tell your dad I said hi, your dad. And I was just like, bro, like, can we talk about meditation for 5 seconds? Can we talk about holistic wellness for 5 seconds? Can we talk about following your authentic joy? Can we talk about me even, like. And that was really hard because I always just felt like I was getting clouded out by him as a figure. And I know it was all like love and praise, and I have grown to really appreciate who he is in the world and the mark he's left and how much he's changed people's lives. I mean, so much so that they're coming through to me, like, which has really nothing to do with him. I mean, in a lot of ways, yeah, but no, like, I don't make music. I don't have anything. We don't even have the same, like, his whole career is built on like sex, drugs, rock and roll, and alcohol. And mine is literally like wellness, spirituality, like clean lifestyle living. Like there's definitely a lot of through lines, but it's just so interesting, right? Like how did this trickle through happen to me? And there's also been many different iterations of my acceptance of that. First, it was like resistance. And then it was, okay, like I have an audience and that's cool. And then it was, okay, because there's an audience here, I'm going to help them. And maybe these people never would have come to this line of work or self-reflection had they not loved I Can't Drive 55 by Sammy Hagar. And then they ended up coming over here. And look, maybe now like I can help them. Awesome. Like the universe works in mysterious ways, right? So I leaned into that for a while, just was like, okay, I embrace it. I'm happy to help, blah, blah, blah. And for years, like that was okay. And then I just got kind of burnt out. I felt like I was like playing goalie around my own work and my own life and my own contribution. And I remember sitting in a hot spring with my friend late one night, and I just kind of broke down because I was trying so hard to be seen and help and truly get my message out in the world for what I believe I'm like, what I'm passionate about, and helping people choose themselves and not self-abandon and all these other things. And I just felt like people weren't even seeing or hearing me. And I was throwing kind of like a tantrum about it. And I was like, people just want my dad. Like, that's all that they want. They don't see me. They just see my dad. And even the people who come to me, like, I just feel like there's other motives and blah, 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 blah. And she goes, those are just your beliefs, you know? And you're also going to keep attracting it with those beliefs. And I was like, I don't believe you. Like, she was really on the big, like, your life is your belief systems bandwagon. And I was like, no, I was not in it at that point. And I was like, no, this is my reality. Like, fuck you for gaslighting me into like this. I didn't actually, well, a little bit in my head. I didn't say it. I'm just sitting in this hot spring. Like, I'm like, no, you like don't understand. Like, you'll never understand. And the truth is, no, she won't. She'll never understand. She'll never have the experience that I had. And it took me years, probably 6 years from that moment to understand that she was 100% right. And it doesn't matter if she hasn't had that experience to be able to speak to the all encapsulating truth that whatever we believe is our reality. And I believed that my worth was stemmed from my dad. I believed that everything I got was from him. I believed that everything I was that was interesting to anyone was just about him. And I really did believe that. And the truth is, I probably got all of those experiences matched because I believed that. But now, years later, oh, and I love this one thing I said to her, which is hilarious, but I kind of saw her point, but it wasn't integrated at all. And I still was kind of frustrated by it, but it was like making a little dent in my brain. And I remember being like, well, I just want to be in my victimhood about it, okay? Like, I just want to be in my victimhood about it right now, okay? And she was like, okay. And then I just remember like kind of just throwing a tantrum. Like, I was just like, me, like all night long about it, just thinking about it and being like, she doesn't get it. But kind of getting it, like what she was, her point, but also being like, no. I want to be a victim. I literally said it out loud. I want to be a victim to this. How interesting. Who the fuck wants to be a victim? Like, who wants to be a victim to anything? And I know that you're thinking like, yeah, but there's so many things, but we all decide to be victims about all kinds of things that are actually, there's always a good and a challenging side, an expansive and a contracted side to anything and everything. And which side are we going to lean into? And which side are we also going to just like how are we just going to free ourselves of that story? So here's my way of doing that. Over the years, I just felt like this kind of, I was still attracting that. I was really frustrated. I invested a lot of money into branding and trying to figure out how can I differentiate my niche so much that people don't even think of me as this person, and I attract a fully different audience. And they were like, I don't know, I actually never really like had this issue with a client before. And I kept running into the same like, I don't know. And the reason why they can't answer that is because it's in my beliefs. It's not in the brand script and strategy. It's in my beliefs. So I finally get my brand script right. And then I started to think to myself, wow, everything I am and my story of self-abandonment and my story of choosing to be brave and come home to myself and all of the things that I am have nothing to do with him. They have to do with him as much as anybody's parent has to do with your story. Like, yes, they parented you. Yes, they influenced you. And I'll say a lot of positive things, like my dad has influenced me in really powerful, powerful ways, and negative ways, because every parent fucks up. Every parent fucks you up, and different iterations of fuck up and to different severities. And I'm not here to, like, blast my parents. Plus, nobody would want to hear that. Actually, you guys probably do want to hear it, but then you don't actually want to hear it. But yeah, like, I love my dad and I love my parents, and it's not about that at all. But I'm just sharing, like, listen, I'm just a child of parents just like you. I have traumas just like you. Maybe different shapes and forms from different things that maybe you have or haven't been exposed to, or been exposed to in different ways, or like, we all are human, and there's no experience. I really do not believe that there's any experience better than anyone else's. It's just what you believe and what you choose to do with that experience. You could be dirt poor, but you could have such a loving family. You could have, be so connected with your community. You could be super wealthy and fully abused. I mean, there's stories of celebrities and all these things, and I think people are really dismissive of the fact that, like, oh, they have money and fame, so like, there's such a dilemma with people who have it all, that they don't believe that they should even have any emotion or feeling about their traumatic experiences, and they gaslight themselves so much deeper that you see that with really creative people, you see that with really successful people. Drugs, alcohol, isolation, suicide. We are not any different on the human scale, and like I said, sometimes there's actually even more painful things that can happen in that environment. They can happen in all environments, but like, they happen, and then the gaslighting that happens from themselves, really, that's the thing. Societal narratives get in, and then they let them leak in, and then they don't let themselves feel, they shame themselves, and then they try to numb it out. Like, you guys, it's just, I guess I'm here to say a lot of things, but mostly that we all have to take full responsibility for our own well-being, even those people that I'm talking about, even the people that have really, really, really clearly obvious challenging circumstances with no resources, etc. We need to take full responsibility for our own well-being and our belief systems. And I know that's harder to do when you're in survival, and I recognize that that's not something that I have had to personally face in this life on a real, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs level, where I don't have my food, water, shelter, right? I get that. Like, I'm not the one to be able to speak to that. But what I do know is that when we can and do decide to be committed to our journey of shifting how we see the world does change. And I can say that from the top. I can say that from someone who's seen people with having it all being not okay. And I've seen it with people having nothing being fucking great. And I've seen the opposite. And I've seen everything in between, just like you have probably. But I always have wondered, like, why me? Why have I been exposed to this kind of pinnacle of success in the world? Why me? Why was I born into these circumstances? And I've gotten a few different answers over the years that, again, maybe I'll share in a different video at some point. But one of them is the perspective to share and know that it doesn't matter what you have. It matters what you believe and how you take care of yourself. It matters that you love yourself and you fill your own cup, and you're boundaried with the negativity, and that you choose to believe in you, that you have a connection maybe to something greater than you that keeps you going, that keeps you strong, that keeps you in overflow, that keeps you magnetizing the good things and not the negative. So I used to be that victim. I was like, everything's happening to me. It's not like nobody sees me. That was my story. Nobody sees me for me. Nobody appreciates me for me. People are coming to me for the wrong things. Like people are using me sort of vibe. And so they did. And then when I chose to gently start to shift that narrative because I had just had enough, I was at my breaking point in my career, in my personal finances, in my relationships, and feeling like that was sort of what was being mirrored back to me. I was like, I know what I actually want, and I'm contorting to a life that isn't mine. And I've done this all of my life. I did this for my dad, I did this for my family, I'm doing this for my current partner. That was my last relationship. And I was like, enough is enough. This is not my life. This is not what I want to live. I know that I'm here to shine. I know that I'm here for something greater. I know that me, in my body, in my form, am here to proliferate a message and to be appreciated for who I am. I know that because I'm starting to appreciate that in me now. I'm going. Fucking sent it. Started to do what I wanted, living my dream life, one step at a time, moving to the place I wanted to move, taking the classes I wanted to take. I always share these stories, showing up to the things I wanted to show up to, putting myself out there. Nobody knew my last name. For months, nobody knew my story. For months. And I was able to magnetize some of the most beautiful, successful, wonderful experiences I have ever had. And that's how I knew. Again, it mirrored the belief I was starting to cultivate in myself that I am enough. People see me for me. People appreciate me for me. And sure, that's a cool ancillary detail that people can find out on their own. But to start me out in the world, I am just Kama, and I am loved for that because I have chosen to live in my joy. I've chosen to believe in myself. I've chosen to let myself shine. I've chosen to let go of the belief and story that I am only accepted or embraced because of my dad or who I am or where I came from. And that is actually finally met. That truly is just such a background side detail now in my story. And yeah, a lot of people here now know, and because it's a huge part of my life still, of course, it's still my family line, it's still my origin story, but it is not what people, it's not what I lead with, it's not what people have found as like the part of me that magnetized them to me. And it's all because I shifted my script. I am not a victim. I'm done with any storyline that makes me a victim, that makes the world come back to me in any contorted, distorted way. I only am here to believe in myself, in the joy and the positivity, and to operate from that place. I'm not saying there aren't negative things that happen and there aren't people who aren't in my current reality that have like kind of, they're more interested in that than me. Like it is going to happen. And it's just a background, ancillary, whatever. Is ancillary the right word? I don't even know. It's small. The bigger thing is alignment. Is alignment and being seen and being met in my belief that is what it is. So where in your life are you holding yourself back by telling yourself a story, holding a belief, being in your victimhood? Be honest with yourself. This is shadow work, which I love so much. Just admitting to yourself, oh, I'm really holding on to this notion, this belief in myself, about the world. And you have to know that you're actually you are perpetuating those things subconsciously. Like that is in the driver's seat of your actions and the things you do and the things you say and what you're hiding, which just kind of like actually is written all over your face. It's so interesting how this all works in the world, but it does. And we can see that with people. We can see when someone has like a fear and like you can feel that in them. It's like what they lead with even without saying any words, right? Like You are saying so much without saying anything, just through what you believe. And people can feel that. And people then do paint that picture of you. And you can't control what people decide about you, no matter what you believe. But can you believe the good stuff about yourself? Can you believe, first and foremost? And that is something too, when I asked, I even talked to my dad about why me in this world, and why have I been exposed to this level of success and this level of fame and these levels of people that are just living so big. And we talked about it, like, they taught me the power of belief, whether it's the belief in yourself to become successful, but maybe they didn't believe in themselves in their kind of emotional or true self-love, you know? There was also this bravery element, like all of them had to be brave enough to go chase after that thing. But can they do this thing holistically? This is where I feel like I was just confused, seeing like they have all this and they're still not happy, or the few ones that really are, like, what did they do differently? And they were brave not only in their dreams and their desires, but they were brave in meeting themselves, brave in really, really taking care of themselves, brave in doing this shadow work, brave in making sure that whatever they're chasing after isn't from a place of just sheer ego and a place of fear and desire to be something or someone different, but from out of a place of, this is my soul's calling and alignment, and I'm going to take care of myself along the way, and I'm reverent to myself and my path and my spirit, and in turn those around me, because we're all one. There's a few different ways of doing the thing. Again, probably conversation for a whole different video, but yeah, I really got into it today. I actually had kind of a dream about this last night, like that I needed to talk about this today, even though I've been trying to not mention that on this channel. But that is a huge part of the transformational piece of my journey. And of course, the inspirational, what I grabbed from that, and then how I turned that around and what I learned in this world. Because again, it's easy to think, oh, like, you have it all. You have it all, you wouldn't know. And I could tell you the same thing. You wouldn't know. All that matters is that you know, and you shift your internal narrative, and you show up authentically in the world. And that is the most magnetic, successful, incredible work you could ever, 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 ever do. So, more on this some other time. I hope that was interesting, helpful in some way. But if not, just thanks for listening to some of my story. I am recording every day. I have a freaking e-course coming out in the next couple of weeks. So get ready, stay ready. If you're not on my email newsletter on kemahagar.com, sign up so you don't miss that. I'll be talking about it more here too. But it is all about moving from self-abandonment to soul alignment, the brave steps it takes in between. And again, all of this from just witnessing what I witnessed from my place of fly on the wall, in the room, in the shadow of such bright fame, fortune, and everything you could ever imagine, what it takes to actually make it to the places you've always dreamed of making it, but also key things that people miss along the way, like truly listening and taking care of themselves. So that is something I'm creating now to move you from the contortion and disconnect of the world that you're living in now to actually this connected, aligned, beautiful, radiant, magnetic life that you are naturally made to experience. So it's a homecoming. Slaps the camera off the thing. Have a great day. Thanks for being here.